Welcome, everybody, once again for the final day of the Valorant First Strike UMG Close Qualifiers. And a good day it's going to be because, a lot of the pressure has been alleviated. Obviously, yesterday we had our elimination rounds in quarterfinals, but today we get to have a little bit of fun, but still in a serious tone, given the fact that for semifinals as well as grand finals, it will dictate the seeding going into December, which of course will be regional finals, at least for where we're focused on North America. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble. I'm going to be your host for today, been your host for this week, and I've been joined by some beautiful talent overall. And joining me, at least for right now, is going to be Bach and Vansili. It's good to have you boys. Bach, we'll start with you. How you feeling?
I mean, how could I not be feeling good, right? We're coming into the final day here for the UMG Close Qualifier, and we're going to see who's going to be walking away with the high seed, but we already know who's qualified, which is also pretty impressive. We've got some great games lined up, so ultimately it's going to be a good day.
Mm-hmm. And, I thought you were going to say beautiful people plus Vansili. I would have accepted that as well, Reflections. But I'm feeling good. It's going to be a great day today. And, when you mentioned that it's for seeding, it's not as important, I actually think the opposite. Because if I'm not mistaken, you're looking at the pages on Wikipedia, on VLR, and on the Spike. If that's accurate, you currently have Sentinels at the 3rd seed. I'm not sure how the 3rd seed and 4th seed is decided when you're qualifying into the top 4 into these qualifiers, but there's a potential that if you lose your quarterfinals match, you're going to face off against Sentinels. So that means you want to win that matchup to get into the grand finals, and if you lose the grand finals, there's a possibility that, if you get 4th place, there's a possibility you face Envy, and if you get 2nd place in the grand finals today, there's a chance that there's going to be a fight with Sentinels too. So I think what's most important for these teams is that you actually want to make it to 1st place, win everything, and have the better matchup with Renegades. Not to take so far, but if you're thinking about it from a strategic-wise in a Tier 1 scene, you want to get that 1st place seed in today.
Now, listen, hold on. Right? I just want to say this real quick. I want to cut you off. I never said it didn't matter.
Of course. I
just said, ultimately, if you were a team, you came out and you got what you came for.
Exactly.
You got that qualification spot. That was the most important thing. Now it's a seeding game, and yeah, sure, the seeding is going to matter because the seeding from the last closed qualifier was a little bit off from what people would maybe expect. So just want to get that out there.
Yeah.
Well, either way, man, I think getting 1st feels good, right? Especially giving you that newfound confidence going in. Envy's already there. Let's see who's going to be here today. After all, this could be, in fact, a little snapshot, if you will, of the matches to come, right? So you can take it with a grain of salt, or you can take it and look at this and say, wow, the severity of losing this versus this team, right? It could, in fact, be a big deal. Check it out. Let's go ahead and take a look at all the teams that ended up coming into close qualifiers and who had an early exit. Of course, we look at Cloud9 Blue yesterday. A big loss 2-0, mind you, to T1, who will be playing. And a decisive one on a sense. It was just a beatdown, if you will. Complexity, early exit, obviously, in the pool play. Same thing goes for Andbox, unfortunately, with their circumstances with Poach, Dignitas, Moon Raccoon Space Station, Knight, Serenity, NRG, Luminosity, Genji, again, Equinox. Again, man, it feels so weird to see so many talented rosters that we take for granted in invitationals and things like that, and obviously not playing in an open format like this, not being involved in regional finals, not being here today for semifinals and finals. But hey, that's the beautiful thing about the scene currently, right? There are going to be some shakeups, and we're going to consistently keep developing. Overall, it has been, I think, a good eye-opening experience for several teams out there, as well as for, maybe even supporters of these organizations and whatnot. But let's get into it. Let's start looking at our bracket and how that is unfolding, because check it out. We're going into semifinals. Quickly, let's just go ahead and have Vansili touch on Immortals and TSM. That'll be coming up after this one. But again, what are your thoughts on that one?
The matchup for Immortals TSM overall, I think it's going to be a great matchup. A great storyline for the Immortals. I mean, when they first started as the organization coming in, yes, they never really won any big events, but they were always also consistently placing in the top 4, kind of like a Gen G team. And then you wanted to give them time so that they could develop as a team and then be that top performer. But unfortunately, they lost Dicey and Asuna to 100 Thieves. Then they lost Kohler. And they always had like this rebuilding phase where they were trying out players, going through a revolving door and trying to find success as an organization and as a team. And now they bring in JMO from Noble, and they also bring in Neptune from Morning Light. And they're starting to see a bit of success, but I think what was the biggest change, and unfortunate there for a shot up, is that Shanks came in, and he came into play too. He's been consistently putting big numbers as Reyna. He had a bit of trouble as a Raze, but overall, Immortals, to be able to play in with a sub and qualify to first strike, you got to give him props to that. TSM on my end, great job for them. They're playing a no Sentinel, going for triple duelist, and it's paying off, and it's paying well. They had the question mark. The community had the question mark of what the 2-0 or what was going to happen versus Moon Raccoons, but it became a great 2-0.
Absolutely. And of course, at the bottom, right, Bach for FaZe and T1, one that we're going into, an interesting one. What are your thoughts on that? Just briefly, we will get more into it, of course, in just a second.
Well, I mean, it's a surprise that FaZe has made it this far. I think that a lot of people didn't expect this from FaZe, especially after their disappointing run through the open qualifiers the first time around. So the fact that they make it to this point and they actually qualify is definitely surprising to many. But I think T1 looks better and better every single event. So I think FaZe has now matched up against a team that has a lot to prove and has also a lot of prestige and firepower. This is going to be very difficult for FaZe.
Absolutely going to be difficult. I couldn't agree more, right? Just real quick before we get into our maps, I want to show you guys the schedule just so we can just run through what you guys can expect overall. And of course, we are going to be starting off with T1 versus FaZe, right? A tough one for FaZe fans out there, I think, but make sure you're showing your support in the chat, you beautiful people. TSM versus Immortals is going to be next, and of course, Grand Finals will be just after that. And then, hey, let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's show our maps, right? Let's transfer in as we do have, of course, all our pick and bans done. Ascent, Bind, and Haven. Bach, I'm going to start off with you today because Vansili apparently thinks he's not a beautiful person, which, hey, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. You can bench press more than I can, so that makes you beautiful in my opinion. Bach, what do you think about these three maps?
Well, it's actually right on the money with Vansili's predictions, just maybe not necessarily in the proper order he expected to see that split ban come through. Not entirely shocked by the split ban. You know, it does feel like the two maps no one wants to play are Bind and Split. We see a lot of Bind bans anymore, though. And again, I don't want to go too heavy into it because I feel like this is really Vansili's territory. It doesn't matter to me what the map pool is. What matters to me is that agent composition. Yeah, I'm big on that one. So Alex, you know, I know you're Mr. Map Ban, Mr. Strategy there.
All right, Ben.
So we'll toss it to you.
What do you think of these two maps?
At least for me, yes, and I do agree with Bach. Like the maps don't really matter, but you still want to try to make sure what map you're comfortable on. So to look at FaZe and to look at T1, I think they're both really comfortable of getting rid of Split. I haven't seen anything good from T1 yet. And as you're seeing how T1 continues to evolve, they want to continue to evolve slowly, but it's going up with good success. So that means you ban Split, but I thought that it was going to be a Bind pick from FaZe because FaZe used to have Bind as their bread and butter map, but they decided to take Ascent instead. Which is the reason why I find surprising is because T1 also loves to play Ascent, and that's usually their go-to map. But then T1 is also going to choose Bind. So then it goes back to the conversation of what Bach was saying. Like at that point, with the three maps remaining, it doesn't matter who chose what. It definitely matters on what side that they choose first to play. And that's where it's going to get interesting. I think both of these teams now are going to be comfortable in this map rotation. They're going to play their own game, but who's going to get the better on top because their strategy is still quite different on maps like Ascent.
You know, I guess I can say something to that. Maybe they picked Ascent because they want a challenge. They want to get, you know, this advanced kind of matchup in, right? See what they're made of, see what they're throwing out. Because who knows if they're going to be throwing out everything they have or if they might be saving some things, right, for December. It's a very real possibility. Let's get our predictions in, boys, because I think we're all going to be on the same page with this. At least I'm hoping, but we might not be because there have been some curveballs for me, though. You know, I have to go with T1. I think it's an easy pick. You know, overall, I've been very, very impressed with Skadoodle, right? He's been incredibly consistent. AZK Brax, right? They've just been looking so good. For me, I don't think they can do any wrong. I think it's going to be a 2-0. Bach, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 2-0 for T1 as well. I just don't think that FaZe is going to have enough to upset T1. I don't think the map pool would have made a difference. I think that T1 still would have beat them 2-0. I just think that T1 in general feels like the stronger team currently. Yeah. And while FaZe made it to this point, they fought really, really hard. And I just feel like T1's just got so much to prove. Like T1 doesn't want to just settle for the qualification spot. They want to prove that all the work they've been putting into the background is worth it. And plus, you've got guys on that team. They have no desire to lose. It doesn't matter how much is on the line. They just want to win.
Yeah, I'll have to echo what Bach is saying because at the same time, that makes also the most sense. I don't want to repeat what he's saying. So I want to take that time to say, look, I'm 4-8. As my parents who are Asian, as my dad who's Asian will not be satisfied with a 50%. So I'm going to go with T1 on a 2-0. I'm hoping that I'm right on my last 3 predictions, so I could at least get a passing grade. But it's not going to be an A+. I'm sorry, parents.
Oh, you just broke my heart with that. Look, Van Silly, hey, you've been doing good. You know what's funny though is like, you know, you're on point with the pick and bans. You know exactly where they're going with it, and then it's just like you just shy of the predictions. Yesterday was rough though. I think at least for me. But right, I was 2-4 yesterday. But I mean, yesterday was I mean, it was an important day, right? Anything could have happened.
Exactly, and it's exactly that, because you could have the best game plan going into a matchup, but when it comes down to a match is at stake, you know what's on the line. You know how to play for the game. All the strats that you put sometimes going to be thrown outside of the window, and you're just going to be like, for example, if you're going to do a set piece towards A side, but you're finding a lot of success towards mid, you're just going to keep taking advantage of that, where the team that you're now predicting that should have been more prepared is just getting overrun. That's just the nature of competition, and that's what we love when we're starting to see these high-level competitions, especially playing for $100,000 going into First Strike.
All right, so let's get into it. Bach, okay, T1. Yesterday, their performance versus Cloud9 Blue was very telling. They played so very well. Ooh. One of those maps that they dominated on was Ascent. Obviously, KD-wise, they just absolutely dwarfed the side of Cloud9 Blue. Do you think it's going to be the same story versus FaZe? Obviously, FaZe is a different team from Cloud9 Blue, but what are you thinking in terms of that? Is it going to be a lot closer?
Well, I mean, when you look at the two teams on paper, pound for pound, I feel like Cloud9 has a little bit more extra firepower at the top, but maybe a little bit less at the bottom. Like the separation from their best player to their weakest player is a lot more, is a lot larger than you would have with maybe a team like FaZe. I would say, again, and I mentioned this yesterday when we were watching this team play, the player to watch for FaZe is going to be Corey. If Corey can pop off and get that ball rolling early, there's potential that they could get a closer game. But I still think that T1 is probably going to dominate Ascent. The map is just one that plays really well to their strengths. It's very similar to a Counter-Strike map. That's why they play it so well. That's why they play it so often. And they play it very slowly and methodically, sometimes to a flaw, but usually it works out pretty well for them. So that's one of the reasons why I picked T1 to take the series so easily.
Yeah, I think T1's... You said it yesterday, Buck, right? T1, when it comes well, and with FaZe, I still see a lot of individuality and a lot of star players and star moves in general, but I think they just need to come together if they're going to beat T1, because T1's teamwork and more importantly, the consistency that they have shown with Skadoodle, with Spider, AZK, Brax is just insane. But hey, map number 1's going to be starting, boys. Take it away. I'm excited to see how this series unfolds.
Thank you very much, Reflections. You mentioned one of the names there towards the tail end of that was Skadoodle. Skadoodle yesterday on this map was absolutely ridiculous. He had that 4K with I think it was a no-scope as they jumped out off sidewalk and tried to get into that B site. He is going to be a serious problem for the side of FaZe to deal with, because if we're being honest, Baby Bay's op work wasn't as impressive as we would hope it would be. But we'll see if that's going to end up being a factor or not. T1 starting on the defense. FaZe Clan currently on the attack. They're going to be making their way into that B site. There's the mad dash in. Landing inside, his cloud burst allows him to escape the threats that were looming and waiting. Baby Bay gets vertical and goes up into heaven right off the bat and burst fires away at Dazed. And that's a spike plant almost instantaneously in the round. A very fast pistol round coming out from FaZe.
Yeah, you went for a gamble 50-50. This time the battle on a retake at the catwalk. It's a trade-off, but Marv chimes in with 2. Brax coming inside with AZK. They're making it a 2 versus 0 after Zachary picks up the last 2 kills from the catwalk area of the A site. But T1 at that point, they went for a gamble. You saw how passive that was on that A site. You had Daze playing on the heaven side of A. He was looking for the retake play for the Silver Dart. So it's great that Baby Bay was able to just go very aggressively to take him down, so that the retake opportunities for the information was going to be very hard for T1 to take. That said, though, a team like FaZe on this map, the reason why I say the strategy is a little bit more different is that FaZe really likes to work both extremities of the map, the A and B side, while T1 on the attack likes to take the mid. So they gambled that there was going to be a B push. It didn't happen. This time they're trying trying to take the mid control side. Skadoodle unfortunately is sandwiched from the back mid and also from B-Link. So the surprise attack doesn't come into fruition for T1 as FaZe Clan are now taking advantage of mid side.
We've seen a couple of teams do that as well, that fast play down mid, trying to just get up into the face of your opponent. Usually it's with a Jet ult when we've seen it happen. But in this instance, FaZe wins the pistol and the round that follows. You know, you're not wrong. That's, I think, one of the key things about playing Counter-Strike. Everyone knows it's all about mid control. So it's not a surprise to see T1 put so much emphasis on mid while playing on the attacking side. And because of that stereotypical CS style of play, it seems to work out for them because it allows them to get that control. That's why I said this map works out so well for them, because they know, like, if they focus heavily on mid, they have that ability to branch off in either direction. We'll see what's going to happen here as Baby Bay, again, is fast up, and he's taking a shock dart down to 60 HP, goes to shut the door and wants to come down the back stairwell. Waiting for him is Skadoodle, but despite the fact that the flash was late, it doesn't matter. Baby Bay is chewing apart the team currently playing defense on the B site. I'm not sure if that was a light armor buy that resulted in such fast deaths for the two members of T1 that were playing B-side defense, but I do feel like if you don't find a kill soon, you need to back off. P4, but you don't really have much to fight with. The buy coming through on that first full buy round is often somewhat awkward. They need to find that opener now.
Yeah, the retake is starting. Brax is here at the spawn side, and they're all there, actually. So this is a big position that's going to have to come from Market. And as he peeks out, Marv gets picked, and Spider, a man of the hour yesterday on these retake plays on a set, will try to move forward. He gets a triple kill into this round, leaving Corey the last man standing. They overtake the site. They are able to get the defuse, and that is well done there for T1, but you got to give two positive things out of that round. The first one, Baby Bay, man, he's locked in right now. He's just continuing to push W, catching T1 off position, catching him off guard, and allows these big openings for FaZe Clan to take over the sites. And then you're looking at T1 side, the combo abilities that they actually have to prevent these pushes from FaZe Clan on these extremities seems to pay off. I like that fault line combined with Daze's shock dart at the entrance to do a lot of damage to Baby Bay, who moved into the site with 60 health. Which is why, like, I'm still surprised that with a Stinger 60 health, he still is able to open up B side.
Yeah, that was a very destructive round from FaZe, despite the fact that the money that came into the round was not really high. They brought in some hardware from previous rounds, and that's why they have enough left over to go ahead and bring in the op. So Baby Bay's got that extra cash, and this passive play style on A main allows Baby Bay to get across Arch and hold now for a pick. There's a target to his left and one up top in heaven behind the box. It's Spider, who's holding an angle currently, so that if Skadoodle has to back off, he can cover the switch.
Yeah.
It's a solid setup. FaZe right now just taking their time, looking for that early intel. There's the Owl drone to go in first, and that's going to cause Skadoodle to be in a weird position. There's the dash away. This is now their opportunity to get site control, and there's that crossplay that we were just talking about. Spider holding down the switch, trying to get the cross now. Unfortunately for Spider, Raucus is there for an immediate trade. The op is in position as well. Oh no! Baby Bay cycling that scope back and forth, debating on shooting through the wall, gets the quick scope onto the unintended target, who goes for a quick peek, and it doesn't work out so well. It's a 4-on-3 now. FaZe with, again, the player advantage, but we saw what happened last time that was the case. Zachary gets caught off guard as the timing does not work out well for him. Marv is now trapped on Catwalk. There's one coming through from Tree and one coming up from Short. He's got the angle on the first target. Skadoodle's got him locked into position now, but they still haven't made a move onto the site. They need to get closer and closer. They need to try and take away that door. As that pretty much solidifies the round, you can see them already backing off. They realize there's no way they're going to get into it. They got to save the guns. So it will be FaZe's round one, as T1 fail to get back into the site and struggle to hold it in the first place.
I found that a very tough position for where Spider was at, holding the A site up on the catwalk behind the boxes on the right side corner. Exactly. The only thing that they have in order to push, to stop a push or to slow down a push is his smokes and a paranoia if you actually have Baby Bay trying to dash into the site, for example, but he's walking in with an op. So having that Owl drone go in, Skadoodle had no choice but to be out in the open and hope to be spotted and tagged on top of that by the Owl drone. You would expect or hope that he shoots it out before, but as he gets tagged and that forces him to dash away, well, Spider's just on his own, in that do or die situation. So you hope that he brings or he takes down more than one, but one was not enough, definitely for T1.
You need to have someone generator or hell or heaven to try and support to peek from the other side. So after he gets that opening kill, he needs someone else there to take some of that fire away from him. Now that's a great pick right off the bat. We were saying that Baby Bay's op wasn't necessarily as clean as it needed to be yesterday, but he's hit a couple of really quick shots, and that was one of them.
He's had his morning
tried to go
burritos
down mid. It's crazy.
Definitely had his morning burritos there, and he's out to play. His OJ, his orange juice, like he's awake, and it shows. And it's beautiful to watch actually how aggressively he's playing with the op 2 on the attacker side to be as successful in the last 2 rounds, because he only started picking that up in the last 2 rounds, and he was the one that got the first bloods, I think, in the last 4 rounds.
I wish I had a morning burrito. Pat, if you're out there and you want to send me, I'm just kidding. The only thing I'll ever ask of you, chat, is to spam 4 in the chat. That's my thing. If you spam 4, I'll love you forever. Missed shot from Baby Bay as they spot one backside sight. It was Brax hopping around. There's the Hunter's Fury coming out, and a ping as well given away here. Raucus is looking to line some shots up as that lightning course out. Baby Bay with the quick flick yet again. Has to go for a fresh magazine, but it doesn't matter. T1's been reduced to 2. One's on the other side of the door, and one's coming through from heaven. It's AZK. Baby Bay finds 3 on the round. AZK had an opportunity there as both targets did start to line up. But the rounds are stacking up heavily in FaZe Clan's favor. T1 a little bit slow to start their morning off. And it's going to be another save.
Definitely what has to start changing now for T1, as we talked in the pregame, hey, how do we actually stop somebody like Corey? You don't really need to stop Corey when you have something like Baby Bay, someone like Baby Bay now, always getting those openings. And when you have an agent as AZK playing as Breach right now for the team, where he's able to initiate for the team with these flashes and explode to get these kills, I don't see that happening right now. So they have to try to leverage those type of abilities to really try to stop Baby B right now, who continues to hold his W. Look at him, he's already inside the site, dashing towards the air. Corey's right behind him, so both duelists are inside the site. T1's in a tight knit to try to go for this retake, but of course they're on an eco on their end. They're able to get the first kill, but it's still a men advantage for FaZe in the end.
It does seem somewhat interesting to use that ult and the utility to get into the site, given that it was just pistols here for T1. But at the same point in time, if you get it this early, you might as well use it because you're going to get it again.
Yeah.
Zachary goes around the corner, and I mean, you can see what it did for them on the round as well. Brax picks off one more, despite the to it with, the jet ult being utilized and a few other skills as well to get them into the site. It's still 2 kills for T1 on a save, which isn't that bad. Spike was planted. As again, they gain site control. It seems like that's been a consistent thread, as FaZe has not really had any issues getting onto the site. Site control has definitely been in favor of them. Now, Skadoodle does have the op, and we'll see if he's finally going to be able to end Baby Bay's rampage. As we talked about that coming into this, we thought that Skadoodle would probably be key to shutting down Baby Bay, who for the most part hasn't been hitting his stride, and that is not how you want to see it start if you're a T1 fan. Skadoodle gets picked off right off the bat, and it's FaZe again with the player advantage.
Yeah. And either it's new economy or old economy, I think it's very normal to see a 5-1 scoreline onto a half, because now is usually that round where the team at a deficit finally has that economy in to be able to get the operator, but they had to make something out of it. But Baby Bay just continues to be unstoppable. Daze is going to be one that's going to try to stop them with the shock darts, trying to get some information. But meanwhile, players are still falling inside the A site, and that's from who? That's from Baby Bay. A knock kill onto Spider. They're lurking around towards that mid side too, where Corey could have a backstab on the rotation. Brax is pinned right now with Daze in the garden. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it out.
One enemy remaining.
Brax picked off Daze, now just trying to save the gun yet again. FaZe looks absolutely fantastic. T1 just can't seem to get things going early on here. And again, it's back down to pistols. Now, T1 has all 5 ults. They've got Hunter's Fury, Blade Storm, Rolling Thunder, Into the Shadows, and Neural Theft. All available to them. It's all at their disposal. And if you pull those 5 phalanges together, you get yourself a fist, and you could potentially punch FaZe in the mouth. and steal a round away. The question is whether or not they're going to be able to do so. With the way that the shots are coming through from Baby Bay, if we see that attempted dash down mid from Skadoodle again with the knives out, I don't have the greatest hope, because Baby Bay has been hitting some absolutely ridiculous shots.
Yeah.
And then we mentioned it. As much as T1 does have something to prove, so does FAZE. You know, FAZE...
Probably even more.
Yeah, well, it's tough, obviously, to quantify. But you might be right. I mean, both teams have been seen as a potential top 10 team at one point.
Yes.
But then things just didn't work out, or something didn't click. And I'd say, given the history of this FaZe Clan roster, they probably have a little bit more to prove, and I don't think we touched upon that enough, because they've been playing with this 5-man roster for a while now, and they haven't found the level of success that they were likely hoping for. Whereas on the other side, T1 made recent changes, and they've been improving on a steady incline, constantly going up each and every event. So it is tough to say, but we'll see what ends up happening here if T1 can try and wake up a bit. As FaZe continues to stomp through, they're running into this B site with a slower take than we've seen from them before. That's the big kill you hope to see from Skadoodle as the knives come out, and he connects onto the face of Baby Bay. In the backside of sight, it's AZK with the pistol. And despite the fact that this is not exactly the greatest of rounds coming in for T1, they've still got it down to this. It's a 2-on-3. Leaping across, you've got Skadoodle. He's picked up an op now. Shock darts going out from Dazed. But I don't think Skadoodle has any intention of going for this one. He's saving that up.
At 34 HP, no need. I mean, we always commend how good T1 is on an eco with the shares, but they got to get the better angles and the first kills going through. But when you surrender a site throughout the process, being able to pick up an operator is a big win for them right now. So Daze, in the end, you want to do a little bit more damage as much as you can versus FaZe. I mean, that economy has been built to the wazoo right now for the attacker side, because they're just dominating in a lot of situations where they have 3 or 4 players alive. So to have them still make it out with 2, pretty decent for T1. Saving an op on top of that is a great plus. But they're not out of this, not out of the woods yet for T1. They still have to try to get something done here. Look at that. You have Baby Bay at 9K, and he's 2 kills away from the Blade Storm, and he's the first one that was actually running into the site, into this mid to B split. They had like a 4-1 split from the market, and he's still running in with an operator. So I'm loving what I'm seeing from Baby Bay. But as we continue to watch Baby Bay with these first bloods, you're starting to see Marv being starting to creep up in the fragging department too. And that was something that we saw from FaZe versus Gen G yesterday. You saw consistency from Marv and from Corey. So if Marv continues to play the same way that he does yesterday, and then you see Baby Bay the way that he's playing now, and then Corey doesn't need to do anything when he does, man, FaZe Clan is looking to be a very tough team to beat today.
That's that level of roster potential that we were talking about too. It's what players saw in them initially, and the hopes were, okay, over time this team will only get better. But they just plateaued. They didn't change. They didn't really grow from that point. This is one of the bigger games we've seen from them in a while, and it's a nice start for them as well. A good crossfire from Spider and Brax results in the death of Marv. We just talked about it. One of their key players. They're going to continue to try to push towards this A site where you've got Baby Bay now going in first, op in hand. Look at the amount of bodies built up currently in Garden. There's a nice flick from Baby Bay yet again. There is no one else on site. Everyone's playing towards Garden, and that's why Raucus is able to peek out and take care of Brax. Now Spider is there at the backup. AZK getting one through the smoke. It's come down to a 2-on-3. T1 in the control position. Nice dink shot coming out from AZK. I'm told he is the North American, but Titan is the French star, something like that.
AZK?
Yeah. Come on, you know the old spam. Chat, help us out with the copy pasta.
I just remember AZK just being good at any game that he touches. Either that it's going to be Reflex when he was playing Arena FPS. He was a great player in Source, great player in Counter-Strike Go. And also whenever that incident happened, he was probably, I think he was in Team Liquid too, in like the early seasons when Overwatch first came out.
Yeah, he was.
Before the league got established, right?
Yep.
So he's always had like a pedigree of top teams and being a top of what in the games that he plays. And now that you're starting to see T1 qualifying for First Strike too, AZK continues to make his name. Or build his name, rather.
Chat is spamming eggs. And as someone whose bald often referred to as an egg, I am insulted. Right off the bat, FaZe Clan gets a pick. Again, player advantage. This feels like this is something we see every single round, is FaZe finding that opening.
Yeah.
With rare exception. And those rare exceptions are the 2 T1 wins, if we're being honest.
What I did like, though, at least, is that they wanted to fight back versus FaZe Clan, sorry. So the amount of times that we say that it's Baby Bay, how do we stop him? They're really trying to put that responsibility for Skadoodle to start things off, and it's not paying off. He's going in. They have a player instead playing towards the A main, so they could try to stop towards an A main push. That doesn't pay off, so that's Spider that falls. So the top fraggers that we saw yesterday from T1 with Skadoodle, with Omen as a Spider as Omen, sorry, they're definitely being stopped in terms of allowing themselves to get the performance that they had yesterday. So FaZe Clan continuing their reign into this round, though. This has to be big from Brax. He does have the operator in the back of the site, just a little bit off timing, but he's going to be in a tight knit now with 10 seconds left on the clock, with FaZe Clan about to push in.
Brax with the up. Can't get much going in a really brutal position with the Rolling Thunder. That's it. They lost. They won the round. T1's got it. The Rolling Thunder interrupts the bomb plant, the spike plant on site, and as a result, they can't do anything.
Yeah.
After the Rolling Thunder comes through, they drop the spike planter. There was like 5 seconds left at that point. The round ended. So T1 wasn't exactly the prettiest early round or even the best mid round, but the late round was where it counted. And again, they went around where the ult has incredible value. That one was AZK's. So they're keeping themselves alive in this half. You know what's funny? This is the opposite of what we saw in that Cloud9 game, where the scoreline was like, okay, if we end up with a 7-5 scoreline right now, which is certainly possible, but you look at the scoreboard, you're going to see the separation between these two teams and go, how the hell is this possible?
Definitely one thanks to time, but Skadoodle, there you go, pushes forward. Corey's the first to fall, but Baby Bay is still alive, moving up with Marv, onto the catwalk. And thankfully it's smoked out from Spider, so that's going to slow them in their tracks for a bit. So I was going to say, maybe T1 found something on that previous round to play more passively, seemed to be that solution where FaZe Clan really took the full round to really get into a site. So when you have T1 trying to fight back against you, and also when you're just pushing into the sites in an open site, FaZe Clan just has the most success. So T1 has to play those tight angles, hidden in the corners, just like Brax did. Surprise attack from the dark cover, goes for the hats, and now they spot him towards his mid side. This is looking good for T1 to make it that close to that 7-5 that you want.
AZK on the back steps, waiting for Baby Bay, who is currently in the market. Perhaps he's buying some eggs. Who knows?
30 seconds left.
Like, chat's still going, so I just got to bring it up. It's a fruit market, but you never know. There could be just a random egg laying around. Baby Bay still has the op in hand, but this round is over. It's a 5-on-2, 14 seconds left. Baby Bay's just looking to get a kill and try and hunker
10
down.
seconds left.
Save the weapon as long as possible. Goes up on top of the fruit baskets in the corner. Nice pick off onto Spider. It's a shoulder shot. Tries to hide inside his own smoke, but that's going to evaporate in a second. AZK sprays on through, and now Raucus is spotted as well, but at least it's a shot coming out to make it cost more money for T1.
Round in the hash.
Well, thankfully, they only lost 2 players, so they're going to be fine to buy and drop for this last round. So I do understand now why they wanted to go for the hunt a little bit for T1 and try to spot them. But those jiggle peaks seems to be very punishing because Baby Bay just seems to connect all of his shots. This round, though, as they're able to get everybody down for FaZe Clan, the economy is finally sort of broken into the last round. Baby Bay cannot bring in the operator, but he's got the Blade Storm to work with. They actually also have a Hunter's Fury that could do a lot. And now as Skadoodle gets tagged first, he's forced to fall back into position, back to a passive play towards the A side, where now FaZe Clan can take advantage of this catwalk. So like I said, maybe our Hunter's Fury, they're going to try to open up this garden from the positioning you see where he's heading back for Raucus. And there you go. They're going to push in towards this A side. Let's see how T1's going to hold it.
Baby Bay trying to fly in with the knives out, not prepared for Dazed, who's just waiting around the corner. Now Dazed gets caught off guard, but it's a back and forth volley that brings things to this. A 3-on-2, Spike's down on site. Raucus, that's unfortunate timing, tries to peek out wide, ends up taking a fall, Humpty Dumpty style. You're not going to be able to put him back together again. It's Corey now, left alone. I like the move. Shut the door and go on the other side. But there's a target right to his right, and AZK is not fooled. 7-5, the scoreline we talked about as being possible actually ends up coming together in the end at the half. And again, look at the kill tally. It's kind of crazy. You look at the top of the scoreboard there, 26 kills for Baby Bay and Marv.
Yeah, definitely some light at the end of the tunnel for T1, because despite Baby Bay continuing the kills department, when I said he was at 11, he has been fragless for all the rounds after I've mentioned that. So they're starting to find their ground a little bit for T1. They needed to warm up a little bit. And now that they're able to take this attacker side, I want to know how FaZe will adapt to this mid play that T1 likes to take, unless T1 has changed something on their end. But although this pistol round, it seems that they're focused towards this A side, where they might work with Spider's Paranoia, but you do have some heavy opposition from FaZe Clan themselves right around the corner.
Baby Bay trying to move in fast, no surprise there. There's the shadow step away and some damage dealt to Baby Bay. That rhymed. How about that? Should we have like a rap round where we try to rhyme the entire thing?
Hell no.
I'll let you do that.
I used to be okay at it, but it's been a while. So give me a couple more casts, maybe someday.
We'll see what happens here as FaZe changes their mind and tries to change gears and back off a little bit. T1, who was heading towards the A site, took that initial battle. It looked like we were going to see Baby Bay move up a little bit further, and now he is. You can see that pushing across the map, but over in the B site, they get greeted by Zachary, who catches a few classic bursts to the dome. Meanwhile, Brax clears out B main, and the B site's been cleared. Spike will be planted, and we'll see FaZe on the retake here in just a minute. The 3-on-4. Look at the health of a couple of these players on T1. You've got Brax, who's low. You've also got their Jet sitting low. That's Skadoodle. Baby Bay to go in first. And there's the peek from Brax, but a quick turnaround from Corey, who goes for the self-heal. Now, there's still a target right underneath Skadoodle, who's playing just around the corner by the big box in sight. Marv picks him off, and now it's down to the 1v1. It's Dazed versus Marv. He's got the recon dart. That's brilliant, because it's going to spot out his position, and there's not much that Marv can do about that one. Really well played from Dazed.
That's definitely how you counter that, for sure. Getting that dart right into the ground, and you don't even have to force yourself into the bubble to go for a fight as if you were playing a different game. And Dazed is able to take that one down and save that round, actually, for T1. A much-needed pistol, and it started well there for the attacker side, because they really tried to, or they really kept FaZe Clan onto the A side, and then being able to go back towards that mid and split towards B seemed to have caught FaZe off guard. So yes, Zachary, he was able to get a kill, but with the burst shots that he had, he was out in the open. So easily traded, much easier to get into the site. A nice attempt for the retake for FaZe Clan, but that 1 versus 1 play from Daze, Big Iron, he's got it done.
Lead. Now just one round as T1 picks up a massive pistol round win. But given how things were looking, it shouldn't have come down to that point. It was actually a solid retake attempt. Now Brax is able to pick off Raucus. They're going to try and move their way into A, which is a little bit sketch. You can see them fighting over there currently. That's Spider, who's right on the other side of the door, but it's AZK who actually picks one off as Spider goes for the switch to shut things down. Quite literally shutting that door down. It'll be FaZe, who's now trying to come in on a retake and a 2-on-5. And you can see you got Marved all the way on the back end of this play, currently chasing down Skadoodle, who's running for dear life. And their Cypher has a Sheriff, so Zachary could do some damage here if they can find the right shot. It was close. Daze was dropped very low on HP, but still no kills coming in for FaZe in the save round. And now they're all coming around the corner. Marv just wants to hold an angle, try and classic burst someone's skull. Not going to happen. A flawless round victory for T1. Exactly what they needed to kickstart this second half, especially after the rough pistol.
Yeah, getting the pistol on that second half for T1 was definitely big. You're seeing them now that they're not really going for that full upgrade. Skadoodle used his knives before, so he's going to just go for an upgrade for a Vandal. instead of trying to go for something with Blade Storm so that if they lose and they have to go for a buy after, he could have enough money for the operator. So it's definitely going to be a rifle round for both of these two teams. And FaZe is looking to take that mid control. You see it right now. It's a lot of the teams sometimes leave that trap wire and they play on both extremities, but you really see from FaZe Clan, they're trying to push down that mid and really try to fight back towards T1. Although T1 for this round, they're pushing up mid A side first, battling for the orb. Now they're going back for this mid control, but that crossfire there is still set up as Raucus and Corey are going out with the Owl Drone to try to spot things first. And they do see AZK, so that's going to have T1 rethinking. Oof. Definitely after those two have killed.
Yeah. I mean, this is a little scary. FaZe, they come in with the buy and they just obliterate T1. So what little ground was gained is starting to disappear, but AZK with some quick shots has to swap over to a better rifle. Accidentally picks up the SMG first. Gonna get spotted out by the recon dart, has to be careful. Does have a flash, and you know he desperately wants to try and secure that plant, but not exactly safe currently. Does have Rolling Thunder. There is I like this fault line as well that comes through. Oh, that's so well played. AZK had a chance. Almost brought it together with an impressive 3K. That was a 1v5. But it's the round for FaZe. At the very least, he can hold his head high knowing he made it expensive, especially when you look at the money that's piled up for T1 off the back of that flawless round. And you look at the money on the other side. FaZe is hurting. They're scraping those pennies together. I would not be surprised to see Baby Bay safe here go for like a long orb control on A. So go just with the pistol and try and push into A or B and try and get those knives out. We'll see if that's going to in fact be the case.
Yeah, you're right. You have a three-man support on that B side. There's probably going to be a recon dart that goes out, and there you go. They're all both pushing forward. He's picking up that orb. He's going to pull the knives. But meanwhile, though, all that happens, Brax should have called it so that T1 could try to put more pressure here towards the A side, but they're still playing this very slowly. And this gives enough time for Baby Bay to even rotate back and support as a rotator for the team. But big plays will have to come in from Marv now, stuck on that catwalk. A big Rolling Thunder. He's trying to shadow step away, but gets caught in the process while T1 walks into an open site. But Baby Bay's just out in the open, and that orb that he picked up was fully wasted as Spider picks him through the smoke with a headshot.
FaZe 3-on-5 currently. Corey looks to spray through the floor. A little bit of damage dealt. Has to back off as a fault line comes through yet again from AZK. And FaZe, it looked like for a second they were definitely going to back off, but now they've made that decision. It's an excellent call.
This is what's going to happen, right? Also, because I'm a guy that hasn't had breakfast this morning, it's just going to be one of those. That's just
neither have I. All I've had is coffee, and I'm regretting not having a nice, delicious egg.
Nonetheless, though, yes, FaZe Clan in a position where they definitely have to save. As you were talking about it before, where AZK tried to go for a heroic attempt on a 5 versus 1, was able to get 3 kills. That was still a bonus round for T1. So for them to be able to have a gun round, a great execution into the catwalk side, although they had to use a Rolling Thunder to gain advantage of that ground. That was probably the biggest way for them to get into the site in their eyes, right? Of course, we saw that it was a weaker site hold from Marv at A. That was the only player there. But now that they don't have that Rolling Thunder, if they're trying for that again, how is that going to change? Is it the fault line, and is it going to be the flashpoints that's going to allow T1 to take control of this A-side split? But Brax, it seems as though he's going to be the one that's going to keep lurking every single round towards this B. So it's going to be a battle between him and Raucus that's going to keep one player honest there. So you're looking for lots of trades happening on this mid side.
Smoke goes down from Baby Bay to try to escape. There's Corey with the pickoffs in mid. We profiled Corey coming into this one. It's been lights out for FaZe all tournament long. Gets 2 before being taken out. Baby Bay is going to sneak around the edge of this and is likely going to get the kill onto Dazed. The timing almost worked against him. As you can see, Dazed was starting to turn back. But with the low HP, it was still pretty much a guaranteed kill. Rax moving in. I think he thinks he saw the hand, and he did. You can see it for a second, and yeah, there's the drop-off after the shots come through. The 2-on-3. The recon dart comes out. They're grouping up currently inside B main. Tripwire coming out from Brax. There is one playing up on mid currently. Raucus is going to use the Owl drone to go in first. Might be able to spot this first player. Do they anticipate Brax, though, who's already pushed all the way up?
Perfect.
No, this is really well played. It's all going to come down to the timing, though. Can he get the kill onto this player, mark it or spawn without being spotted by the other? So there's the first one he needed. Backsteps another, but he's got the best shot onto Raucus. It's going to come down to this 1-on-2 now. It's Marv. Ult available, full HP, no armor. Spike goes down in the B site.
Shadows traveling.
Smoke to come out here as Marv is creeping on the sidewalk. You have T1 watching both angles, so it's going to be two individual 1 versus 1s. He gets the dink in the headshot onto Skadoodle. Back to a 1 versus 1 where Cypher peeks out, and he almost got caught, but Marv was reloading in the process to make it 9-1 for T1. But that was a beautiful 3 versus 2 there, Bach. Just due to the fact that the Owl drone, that's the second time where you have one person that doesn't want to be discovered. It's going to be Skadoodle that has to put his life out of the line to be discovered. He shoots it down that allows Brax to actually creep his way over towards the shed. The only thing that could have been a detriment on that was the fact that if Marv decided to go for some sort of a wide peek back into the staircase, thinking if Brax was lurking around, because Brax, you saw that he wasn't aiming towards the market. He had a trap wire there. That was his only way of confidence to try to work that area. And now, as you have FaZe trying to work back towards the A side pressure, it's still going to be T1 adding the pressure back. So it's nice to see that the attacker side seems to be the comfortable side for both of these teams.
That was a quick flick from Corey.
100%.
A one-tap dirt nap. Coming out of the Vandal. FaZe.
Cage triggered.
Have things at a 4-on-4. Got that one-way Cyber Cage on B main. And that one lands a little bit deeper than you'd hope. Skadoodle, in the meantime, has picked off Corey as well. That's a serious threat for the likes of FaZe, now watching from the sidelines. Skadoodle pulls the knives out and wants to go into this site potentially. There's the flash coming out. You can hear the updraft getting vertical so he can check the boathouse in the back of sight. Not sure if he saw that player there. It's up to Baby Bay, who's trying to lock this position down, getting spammed now through the cloudburst. Picked off one as they made their way through, but there's a player on the site that needs help, some help, and he's not going to get it in time. It's down to just one now. It's their Sova, Raucus, coming through from spawn slope. Up to the barrels now. The Owl drone going to spot out the position. There's the ult as well coming out from Dazed. He's trying to dodge the pulses.
Seal the deal.
He can really do. He was getting shot from the back, shot from the front. Well played from T1 to now hit double digits. We were ready to count them out at one point. When you look at that scoreboard, you can't blame us. 7-1. FaZe looked so good on the attack. But T1 have woken up, and at the tail end of that last half, if you look at it since then, it's incredible. 9-1 since that 7-1 scoreline, or 6-1 scoreline. 7-1, excuse me.
And just the way that they're using the agents to take control of that B site. You saw that flashpoint that came through from AZK on that sidewalk area. And then the dash, the updraft, it wasn't necessarily for a kill. If it was a kill, perfect from Skadoodle, but he could fly in the air and see who and where the players are falling back. So knowing where the first person was inside the boathouse, they could pressure that. Then back on a 2 versus 1, you still have 30 seconds. You don't have to plant. Go for the Owl drone. If the spawn site was clear, you go for the plant. But as soon as you spot him, you go for the Hunter's Fury. And on top of that, you allow Brax to go for a flank on the market side. So beautifully done. This round, though, FaZe still continues to add that pressure towards mid side, which I like because Corey, although he hasn't been like the lights out superstar player that we saw yesterday, when he sees some action, he actually wins the fights. So he had 2 nice taps towards that mid side 2 rounds ago. The nice one that we saw from Wine on that previous round. So they are still counting on him on this defender side to get things done as Arena with this Vandal. And Baby Bay continues with the operator. He's been quiet, silent for a bit, but now he's trying to see and feel how T1's playing, and he's able to read that first kill.
He got off to an incredible start. Sure, it's been slow since then. Marv with a nice pickoff, not prepared for the player that's been waiting for him in the wine cellar. That's Spider. Now, Spider has the ult. Where does he decide to go? He goes to spawn, and they're going to hear that. So they're currently looking for him. Still able to get the best of Corey in the one-on-one, which is surprising to say the least. Dazed wants to move in. but he really needs his teammate to come through from the door first.
12 seconds.
12 seconds left. They need to move. This is
10
that
seconds left.
slow, methodical play. Currently crippling for T1. On the site is Baby
my
Bay,
God.
who finds another one. Spin it back to Brax. FaZe Clan, off the back of Baby Bay's performance on the AWP, find the 9th round. And T1 certainly not happy with the way that just broke down.
Yeah, and I like it from Baby Bay too. A 2 versus 1 with 12 seconds left on the clock. There was probably a recon dart. I probably missed it in a few rounds before because I was so focused on Baby Bay. But you see with the round remaining, he has an idea. One's at A main, and the other one's probably trying to lurk somewhere else. So he tries to slowly inch towards an angle where he gets the first shot because he has an operator and has 2 separate 1 versus 1. Of course, the second one had to be a very flashy play, but it's nice that he's able to initially just continue to have these 1 versus 1 instead of being pressured by multiple angles at once. So very well done, putting it at 10-9. T1 should still be okay right now on this buy, but Skadoodle in a position where he doesn't have the operator. On attack, still okay. But as Brax continues to lurk towards B, they're reading that. They double push forward. They got the kill, but it's just immediately traded out. And now you're working towards his mid-side control. They don't know somebody's on the left side, though. It's going to be Baby Bay with that operator, but he gets sprayed through the smoke, immediately traded back again. So it's a 3 versus 2, but in favor of T1 into an open site after the Owl Drone. And as he looks back towards that spawn, will not spot Zachary that's moving up towards that back ramp. So that plant's going to come forward, and Spider's going to be in a hidden spot where, yes, it's an obvious spot, but still very tough to take down as a retake on the defender side.
One enemy remaining.
Nice paranoia coming through. Corey is there with at least the trade. And now they know that the breach charge came through from underneath, so Corey's looking for that last target. Now he's found it. There's the Lear coming out to get across. Recon Dart's going to give away the position. Getting shot from both sides now, potentially, as he goes for the Lear. Able to isolate that 1v1. This is getting sketchy. Now he is down to 54 HP. Has to tap the spike. Has to take the fight. There's the jump peek from Dazed. Well played. As Dazed gets around the corner and Corey decides to run away. Dazed will even get the kill in the end. As it works out well for T1, Dazed makes an executive decision to go for a fast execute onto that A site, and they excel at those slow plays normally, but this time around, they make it in quickly and it works. Egg.
Almost to the detriment of an ace, though, that came from Corey, right? He had a 4K on that one under the tempo of a retake, almost winning a 3 versus 1. That was a very hard round for T1 to win, actually, and you could see it from the scoreline. You could see it from the money, that is. They win the round, but they have a Spectre, a Bulldog. I think I saw a Judge for Skadoodle, exactly in his point of view right now. So they have to try to go for something explosive. It's going to be inside B, but the range comes in favor from Rockets at the spawn side. So a first headshot to come through. They have their Hunter's Fury to try to cancel out, to try to prevent this push from moving forward. It should tag a few, but it tags none. They were able to dodge all of that here for T1, and that's going to slow down the pace, but great advantage for FaZe to start off the round.
They need to peel and recommit, or peel and go A. You know, the second all of that gets spent in that direction, when you hear Into the Shadows use the Hunter's Fury, you need to just back off and either recommit or start running towards A. Without that mid control, though, the rotate is so incredibly long. So having to run all the way through spawn takes a whole lot longer than trying to run across mid and make it up catwalk. But you know T1. Slow, steady, easy pace. Not typically the team to try to run in quick. And here, that's going to be the case again. They tried to go faster towards B. It doesn't work. So now they slow things down, pump the brakes, and try and work their way towards A, where you've got Baby Bay, who's currently right around the corner,
30
holding the
seconds
knives
left.
out.
Oh, this is huge.
Dazed.
The Owl Drone. One Owl Drone from Dazed forced the whole defense out, so there's only one player inside the A side, so Zachary has to hold his ground towards the back help.
Yeah, that's really well played from Dazed. Just a little bit of a bait. I like this updraft from Baby Bay, getting up vertical over the short walls to try and spot them out. The fights are favoring FaZe currently as Baby Bay tries to fly in. AZK with just an SMG. It's all down to Brax, who's found himself 2. 3 on the round, and there's one more target in his way. It's going to be Corey, who's sitting on full HP. Uses the Lear to get out. Sticks it for a moment. There's the camera coming in. There's the bait, but it doesn't matter. Corey is just too quick. And again, that's the HP differential. Corey was on full health coming into that 1v1. Double digits for FaZe Clan. They keep the lead within 1 for T1.
We have a game now. We have a definite game in the second half, but what I found it a little bit more questionable, I know you're trying to go for the surprise play, but the camera that came out, he shot it. So technically, you don't really have to peek out. I know the tap first came in from Corey, so Brax probably thinks, hey, it's going to be a pros don't fake situation, so I'm going to try to surprise him. But unfortunately, Corey, he was a little bit faster after tapping that camera away and aiming it right, and Brax, well, he fell into the trap. So a nice clutch in the end, and it's going to be a 1 point that separates this first map. Looking for the victories. T1 as they only need that 1 round to go for map point. While FaZe Clan is looking at least for the tie. And looking at the economy once again, it's broken for both sides slightly, but still an advantage for FaZe Clan to try to tie this up. They fought for the orb. So now they have the Rolling Thunder and Hunter's Fury to work with too. And this could be really big to try to execute into the A site. But the thing is, for FaZe Clan, they have a 4-man stack there.
Slow, steady, again. Not really much action early on. Aldrone will spot Corey on catwalk. That'll push him back a bit, uses the Leer to escape safely, but didn't even need to waste it, as you see T1 didn't really push up on that. There's a Rolling Thunder coming through and a Paranoia that basically eliminates that threat. Look at Baby Bay currently hiding inside the smoke with the Judge, waiting for the push to come through, takes some damage from his teammate, ends up getting dropped. Oh no! He's killing his teammate with the ult. That's unfortunate. Dazed is now in the hot seat after microwaving Skadoodle with the Hunter's Fury, and with the time left, there's no sense. A little bit of confusion on the site there as things didn't really pan out the way they anticipated. I'm pretty sure he hit him twice.
10 seconds left.
I'm fairly certain that happened twice. Now, to be fair, he was going after the target that was recon darted.
Yep.
So he was stepping right in front of the path both times.
Yeah.
But just unfortunate.
Well, it was just how annoying Baby Bay was playing in front of that smoke, because nobody was expecting for him to play in there with that Judge. So, you know, speaking about judgment, you have to try to go for a pick wherever you can. So you try to eliminate the immediate threat. It was Baby Bay at the A main, but unfortunately Skadoodle was in there. What I found quite odd, though, was that T1, to try to take control of the A side, the ultimates that I said that they had, they used a Rolling Thunder and a Paranoia, and the first beam, I think, of the Hunter's Fury even went into the tree side. So they depleted a lot of resources just to take that area where you still have a 3-man stack inside the A site. It was still hard for them to take no matter what for the attacker side. I would have liked to see maybe the Hunter's, sorry, not the Hunter's Fury, but the Rolling Thunder maybe head more towards the A side, while the Hunter's Fury is the one that's going to open up tree. That said, though, T1 with a pistol, we know how strong they could be, and we know that quite a few rounds ago, and for quite a few rounds, FaZe has always went with a double push towards his B main. So they're going to try to fight that for it with the pistols. They're going to try to push him back, once again, fighting for an orb. And maybe even try to surprise if they can, and they will, because Skadoodle dashed into the market, got the first kill. The entries are coming through. It's a force buy, actually. Well, sorry. It's still the Phantom from the previous round. The rest are on pistols, and they still are able to open up the site for B for T1.
This is huge right now as they get the spike down, trying to secure round number 12. Back behind the boxes, he's getting spammed. Baby Bay goes into the site, and now brings us down to a 2-on-1. It's Dazed, and he can't win the fight against Marv. FaZe may have gone down for a while on T1's scoreline, as you saw T1 just piling up round after round after round, making things scary for FaZe. But now FaZe finds themselves in the pole position, back in the lead again, and they're ready to secure things with a victory here, taking the first map potentially 13-11, but T1's got a full buy coming through. So there's still the potential for overtime. And you've also got ults available for both sides. You've got Into the Shadows for Spider. You've got Bladestorm for Skadoodle as well for Baby Bay. And then you've got the Neural Theft for Zachary. You're not that far away from Empress for Corey. A lot could happen in this round, and you hear both Jets instantly pull for the knives, and you can see just in the distance through the X-ray, a very high in the sky Baby Bay looking for an early potential lead in the round.
Yeah, and you saw that debate that was happening for the economy of Baby Bay. He had exactly 5,000 credits. Was he going to go for a glass cannon operator or not? It's going to be a drive-by with the Phantom Knives right in the face as Skadoodle will fall. So a 5-on-4.
right there.
As AZK is trying to avenge his teammate, trying to get this ground on mid side, but it's still going to be Baby Bay continuing to press W. He goes for a couple of clicks, but finally, as he goes back towards the market, it's Brax that pops two of his own right in the dome himself. And the advantage rolls back for T1 as they weaken at the B side a bit. The rotation already came through, but they have so much back control for T1 now. They have so many avenues. They could go mid to A right now. They could push all the way through spawn if they break the trap wires. But the thing here right now is that Marv is in wine. He's in a great spot to surprise T1, who are currently walking towards that area. So if he doesn't show himself here,
30 seconds left.
especially with the fake that starts on this B side, this could be the round turning moment. But he walks back into A main. He's now spotted. The jig is up. They could split into A.
Blinding.
He almost got away, but he almost got spotted. It was kind of like both could have been terrible. If he held the angle, he might have been able to get one and escape. But this time, though, Dazed takes care of the threat of Marv. Wasn't able to beat him in the last round of the 1v1 fight, but he is this time. And it looks like we could be going to overtime. It's a 2-on-4 retake, but don't count FaZe out. They've had some impressive retakes in the past. Spider decides to get vertical, goes up on top, and has to watch out. The spam's coming through, and he's been dropped down low. The HP here is far from perfect for the remaining members of T1. The initial peek will come through from Zachary, who's spotted from a player A main. That's Brax, who's just jiggle peeking currently. Zachary spotted out, still gets the flick down onto Dazed, trying to look for one more target, but they're getting flanked. Zachary has to go for a fresh mag, swaps out to a new gun, pulls for the neural theft, pistol out, can't get it. We are going into overtime as we are tied up at 12 apiece.
Switching sides.
Wow, this is a way to start the morning. I don't need breakfast anymore. Just watching this game is good enough, and FaZe continues these tight battles. And another one that they're going to have to fight through overtime. The last time that they had to go through overtime was literally yesterday to qualify into the First Strike Regional Finals of North America by going toe-to-toe with Gen G and winning 14-12 on a 1-versus-1 to be able to make it here. And you had a moment there when it was close to that 2-versus-1 where Zachary almost got that surprise kill at the generator that ended on a 1-versus-1, but T1, they are able to stay alive and bring this into overtime where now you're going to see Skadoodle with a glass cannon operator starting off on the defender side. So they really want to bring the pressure back up here on the extremity as they know that FaZe Clan likes to work those areas to start.
Raucus with the Owl drone going in short. Looking for that information. Dazed is going to send his out over top of the mid-arch. And that's Raucus, who's just hiding back behind the wall over towards the stairs. T1's book, at least to a certain extent, much slower than we saw from them on the attack during regulation. Regulation, they flew into sites, multiple rounds, just dashing into that A or the B site. Didn't really matter which side of the map they went to. They were moving in fast. Now they've got to deal with Skadoodle, who's in position. There's the smoke that comes through. The paranoia is not where it needs to be. The dash comes out. That allows the jet across. That's Skadoodle to find the first one. Tries to get in the backside of sight. Misses the doorway. That ends up being huge as it loses them, that site defender. And now Baby Bay gets an upgrade as well to an op. And we know how well Baby Bay has been playing with that op. But T1 did not want to surrender a round away here. But it's not looking good as Corey picks off one more, reducing it now down to just 2. It's Dazed and Spider. Spider does go for the TP across, gets in towards the switch house, trying to move up sidewalk. Dazed is solo on HP. He can be just pistoled to death.
One enemy remaining.
That was a huge start from Raucus. That probably seals the deal right now for FaZe Clan in this round. I don't want to move forward, but again, Baby Bay, who thanks Skadoodle for the operator, is going to take that last kill and put FaZe Clan back at map point.
Match point.
That single dart, and especially the way that they pushed in, you like the flash of kill that Skadoodle got, but just unfortunate how he couldn't dash back into the back boathouse when it was pressured so much by the rest of FaZe Clan. And I like how that the cloudburst from Baby Bay at the market really allowed for them to just continue to press forward, even spam through that put Dazed down to a very low HP where he can't really re-peek or try to help out Skadoodle. So that site was forfeited from a stomp from FaZe in there. But on that pulse plant position, that was all thanks to Raucus with that recon dart. Spotting both of them just sealed the deal for them.
T1 now finds themselves on the attacking side. And at a player disadvantage, no less. Gonna be working at least towards A for the time being. The Owl drone will go in first. Look how far away the spike is, though. That's in Skadoodle's hands. It's across the map. Spider goes for the shadow step into the site. This is not working out so well for them. It's down now to 2. As Baby Bay wants to play with this smoke in A main and get around towards Wine Cellar. Skadoodle and AZK tasked with trying to revive the round. But at this point, it's all over. Skadoodle in a 1v5. He'd have to be able to pull off some serious heroics. It's not going to be the case. FaZe Clan keep themselves alive. They lost the lead to T1, but then ended up clawing back into the game, ultimately going into overtime before winning the first 2 rounds, which is somewhat rare, but they do manage to make it work. We are going to go ahead and throw things to a break, and when we come back, it'll be map 2 to see who's going to be moving on into the grand finals. Stay tuned.